Ooh.
Boom. And there it is. All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Sabby and JB show. And it's actually proper because Sabby's on the other side, which makes it truly the Sabby and JB show.
Whoa.
See? I like it. All right. Hello, everybody. Happy Thursday. And today is February 2nd, 2023. Here on RBN Sabby and JB show. It is good to see you. Also, happy Black History Month as well. It is now Black History Month, so this is going to be an interesting thing to talk about. Now, just as you guys know, the Sabby and JB show is every single Thursday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you are new to the channel, I would like for you to take that beautiful appendage you call a thumb or whatever you use. It could be a stylus, whatever. And then hit the like so that we can be pushed out more into the algorithm. Why? Because they don't like us. So that's why. Me, Sabby? What's there not to like? Oh, well. Don't learn to like us. But anyway. Also, thank you to everybody who is a patron on Patreon. For without you guys, we would not be able to do this channel. As well as go to our Substack. Just look up Revolutionary Blackout Network. And you can get the email notifications there. Sabby, my friend, my sister, my homie, my sister from another mister. What's going on?
Whoop, whoop. What's going on, JB? It's Thursday.
Oh, man. You know what that means. It's doobie-doobie-doo time. That's right.
You know there's nothing for Monday. You have Thirsty Thursday, Taco Tuesday, TGIF, or Thank God It's Friday, and Wednesday, Hump Day. What is Monday?
Munchie Monday?
That could work.
I don't know.
That
Snack foods.
I noticed that. Like, people don't really have anything for Monday.
Because Mondays suck because of capitalism.
Oh, no. Joseph got it. Margarita Monday. I'll do it, Joseph.
Ooh, Margarita.
I'll roll with that one.
Ew. A margarita. Sorry. Don't get me started. As always with this show, we like to start off with saying our salutations and hellos to everybody that's in the chat, because this is an interactive program and we love to talk to the people who are with us. So with that, starting off with Sean Beck says, wonder if enough of us tweeted at Kendrick if we could get him on RBN to talk about Nina using his music to sheepdog for Democrats. Ooh.
I didn't know about that.
Are you referring to Kendrick Lamar?
I know. I was wondering about that too. I'm like, how do you know? How do you know Kendrick Lamar? Huh?
I'm black.
I don't know what to say, JB. I don't know what to say.
Me neither. All right. That's right. I'm already fired up. I haven't even had a sip of my tea yet. But Tiberius Monk is also in the chat saying, yo, JB, Sabby, and fellow revolutionists. So good to see you, Tiberius. All right. The Jam Mom coming in, giving us a wave. Hello. Give us a wave here. Also, the bestie of the besties, Sweary Fairies, in here saying, I have been trying to figure out this title all day. Also, love y'all, fam.
It'll be an interesting discussion.
Mm-hmm. Look, as much of a black liberal I think Whoopi Goldberg is, she was right about something. And we're going to get into it. But where's she right about? You're going to see. Why is Brian Kilmeade crying? We're going to show you. All right. Wadi is in the chat saying, hey, everybody. All right. We have bad cookies. All right. Dropping likes for Sabby. Yeah, see? Everybody loves Sabby. All right. Let's get down. Let me see. Oh, wait. Oh, no. I don't want to miss you. Ilhanar saying, hey, Waddy. Oh, she's giving some shout outs to Waddy in the chat. Everybody loves me. All right. Anthony coming in saying, hey, friends. So good to see you, Anthony. All right. We got Bad Wolf up in here saying, like, go forth out into the algorithm. We got Edward Cortez coming up. What's up? What's up with you, Edward? Good to see you. All right. And of course, we already saw what Joseph Bett said about the Margarita Mondays.
I'm a rock with that one.
That is a good one, right?
That is a really good one. I'm a rock with that one, even though I don't really care for margaritas, but I'm going to rock with it. Margarita Monday.
Yeah. Margarita pizza.
I do rock with that.
See?
I like margarita pizza.
Do I know my sister or what? I'm the best brother. Anyway. Hens T says Monday is red beans and rice. Ooh, that's good. Red beans and rice is fire. I love it. I gotta make some.
I haven't made that in a long time. Thanks for the suggestion, Hen's Teeth. You give me ideas.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
Yeah, be good. On a Monday, too. All right. I see you.
You can put like the kielbasa sauce. I put kielbasa in my red beans and rice, and it's good.
Yeah.
Like people are like, is that enough for a meal? And I'm like, yeah, it's because beans are pretty filling by themselves, you know?
Yeah. And beans as well as and sometimes we buy like the smoked sausage, and then I'll slice that up and then mix it in as well, and then take some green onions, dice that up and then sprinkle it on top as a garnish. Oh my goodness!
I hope you guys had dinner. I hope people watching had dinner.
Yeah, and if it was beans, that was good too. It's just like my mom used to teach me. Beans, they're good for your heart. The more you eat them, the more you fart. The more you fart, the better you feel. So eat your beans with every meal.
Oh, dear God. Oh, boy.
All right. Steve Wolbrant says, hello, fam. Hey, Steve. So good to see you. All right. And I sounded like that dude from Family Guy. Hey there, Peter. Robin Murphy. Manic Monday. It was a song. Another Manic Monday.
Ooh, wish it was Sunday, 'cause that's my fun day. I don't want to run, babe. It's just another Manic Monday. I love that song. You guys know Prince wrote that song?
Really?
Yeah.
No, I didn't. I did not know that.
Yeah,
I know
Prince
he wrote.
that.
I know he wrote "Nothing Compares to You."
Yep.
I know he wrote that one, but I didn't know that. That's some Black history for you. All right, we have Bad Wolf coming in here, bad, saying Monday has been abolished. NG says Martini. Yes, Martini. Let me see. Gamer! Good to see you, Gamer. All right. Rick Solis saying, hey, y'all. All right. And just a couple more before I continue. Let me see. Oh, Old Man Barker coming in saying, comes in with the Canadian A. Edward Klein coming in. All right. So good to see you. All right. We're 10 minutes in. We got to get started. Good to see everybody here. I have some videos to show you. JD Informant, just because you just came in, I'm going to give you a shout out to JD Informant. Good to see ya. All right. Now, Whoopi Goldberg. I'm not going to show you exactly what she said yet. I'm going to show you what some right-wingers said and why they are losing their minds. Their brains are oozing from their ears because they did a twist. Let's show. All right, so let me grab this out of my Twitter so that I can show you guys what this first person said, and then I'll get to Brian Kilmeade, because you guys are gonna be like, what? And then we're gonna be like, mm-hmm. And this is gonna be a, so yeah, let me share the screen.
You're a little blurry, JB. It might be you got extra tabs open.
Yes, I am a little blurry. Get rid of that too. And we don't need that. That can go down too.
You think StreamYard would have fixed that by now, though?
And I think it's a more of the user error for me. That's probably what it is. But hold on. All right, so this guy first off says, well, it was bound to happen, but it happened. So now let's listen.
Happen after the tragic death and murder of Tyree Nichols. This is what you had.
How many times do we need to see white people also get beat before anybody will do anything? I'm not suggesting that, so don't write us and tell me what a racist I am.
So people can't say how much of a racist you are after you just said white people need to be beaten in order to prove a point and get a message across. Guys, I've made video upon video here talking about why everything has to be about race these days. And I feel like I'm banging my head against a wall because I don't know what else to do in order to change this culture. The second you use race as a basis of your argument, you lose all credibility with me. And Whoopi, what you just said is the lowest of the low. And you should be ashamed of yourself. To the family of Tyree Nichols, my heart truly goes out to you. He was brutally murdered. There's no question about it. And I just hope he's in heaven in paradise.
No, you don't.
You knew it was going to happen after the tragic death and murder.
Wow, that was rough.
Yo, Sabby, hold up. I gotta do this full screen. Hang on. That was a reach.
Yeah,
that was a reach.
Yeah, that's not even really what she said, but
that was a reach. Look, it was more reach than the toothbrush. Remember the reach?
That was bad. That was pretty bad.
That was a reach. Oh, that was a stretch. Like, dear Lord, he had to do some serious yoga to stretch into that one.
And he also didn't play the part. He didn't play the piece right before she said that, which I think is important so that people have context.
Yeah, and I got that because there's context. And here's the funny part. And I just want to speak on this first. What would you say to that person who said, as soon as, why does it always have to go down to race? Like, what would you tell that person, Sabby?
Because when it comes to policing, I mean, this is a policing issue, right? Like, it's just, I don't, I mean, why do we even have to say this to him? Is he going to sit there and pretend by the way, and I don't know if you were going to show this, JB, but by the way, for the people, some people have been saying that it was all Black police officers. That's actually not true. One of the officers, which was the one who tased him, was white. Yeah. But his image wasn't posted all over, social media. They kind of quietly, let him go. But because of public outcry and the pressure, I think that came from a lot of people on social media, then they were like, oh, we should probably also mention that this guy too was, it was sneaky the way they tried to hide that information.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Excuse me. And so there is some outrage from other people who consider themselves to be on the right. One of them being a Fox News host, Brian Kilmeade. That's why he's crying on the thumbnail. This is why he's in tears, because he's in a tizzy. He's in a tizzy right now, Sabby. Oh my gosh. Whoa. It's a mess. But let's show it. let's see exactly what Brian Kilmeade is crying about. Because look what he said. He said, Whoopi Goldberg's grotesque response to a national tragedy. Do we need to see white people also get beaten before anybody will do anything? This grotesque.
They're missing the comment before that one, which I think is important for people to hear. That's what bothers me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it just...
Mm-hmm. Sab, did you have anything to add before I play? Because
I was just gonna say, I don't agree with Whoopi on a lot of things, but I feel like she is a prime target right now because of some of the statements that she made about the Holocaust. So she is a prime target, and I know there have been calls to remove her from The View because of those statements. So they're going after the easy target here. Now, anything she said, especially in reference to like race, they're really going to go hard at. But I think it's deceiving to not play the entire comment.
Mm-hmm.
That's my take.
Yeah. And so there's a good look at this comment. Whoopi says, by the way, Brian Kilmeade still doesn't get it. By the way, I understand some people may not have reading comprehension, but listening comprehension? Let's take a look, because you guys will understand. All right.
But, when will the brutality finally lead to some police reform from the ground up? Because clearly, it doesn't matter if it's a white policeman or a black policeman, it is a problem in the police, in the policing itself. Seems things don't seem to make sense to people unless somebody they can recognize. How many times do we need white people so beaten before anybody will do anything? I'm not suggesting don't write us and tell me what a racist I am. But, when will the brutality finally lead to some police reform from the ground up? Because clearly, it doesn't matter if it's a white policeman or a black policeman, it is a problem in the police, in the policing.
All right.
Yeah, if you put the link in the private chat, I'll play it because it's freezing a little bit.
Yeah, it's probably because it's playing fine on my side. I don't know why, but there you go.
Okay, I'll go ahead and I'll share it.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, a StreamYard, unfortunately, I hope that's something that they fix because Zoom doesn't have that issue for people who are not aware. With Zoom, it's like if you're not plugged directly into the browser, I've never had any issues with it. But with StreamYard, it is that way. So I never understood that. Let me go ahead and share it just so people, just in case. All right, guys. So you can hear the full, listen to what she says. I want you to hear the full comment. I think that is important.
But, when will the brutality?
You're muted.
Finally lead to some police reform.
I think it's just the video, JB.
Maybe.
Let me try it again. Sometimes the Twitter videos are like this where you have to refresh. Let me try playing it here first, and then I'll go to full screen.
But, when will the brutality?
Balls. Hold on. Let me make sure I don't have anything else open. Let me close. Okay. Yeah, my Wi-Fi connection is fine. I think it's just this video.
But, when will the brutality?
But it was playing fine for me. But you guys saw that it was buffering.
Finally lead to some police reform.
You're muted.
Oh, sorry. I think they don't want people to see this video.
From the ground up, because clearly
That's weird. Okay.
police reform from the ground up, because
Let me see.
clearly it doesn't matter if it's a white policeman or a black policeman. It is a problem in the police, in the policing itself. You know, seems things don't seem to make sense to people unless it's somebody they can feel or they can recognize. But how many times do we need to see white people also get beaten before anybody will do anything? I'm not suggesting that. So don't write us and tell me what a racist I am. But, when will the brutality finally lead to some police reform from the ground up? Because clearly it doesn't matter if it's a white policeman or a black policeman. It is a problem in the police.
I'm sorry, guys.
So I think everybody got the gist of what she was saying.
Okay.
For the most part. But basically, she was saying, what will it take? Right? And the thing is that there was basically a misconstruing of what was said, because what they were basically saying was, she was saying that, oh, white people need to be beat in the streets. That's not what she said.
Nope.
And the fact that people are twisting her words and trying to peg her as racist, that's just disingenuous, and that's being kind. They are lying, really, because they knew exactly what she was saying. Sabby?
Yeah, I mean, they knew what she was saying, but again, she's going to be a target. Like I said, because she made those statements before about the Holocaust, and I know she apologized for those statements, but even though she apologized, still, people want her removed.
Yeah,
they want her gone.
They want her. She apologized?
Yeah, she apologized publicly on The View. She had to.
I wouldn't have.
Do you know what she said?
Because I didn't know she apologized. But here's my thing: it's not my fault that you couldn't understand exactly what I was coming from. It's not my fault that you misconstrued what I was said, because you took it completely out of context and you only listened to part of what I said. It's like, come on now.
Well, I want to show another reaction to it, because I think,
okay,
I hate that everybody's titling it this way, because this is the thing that's making people think this is what she said and take it out of context. Because even this video here, the title says, Whoopi Goldberg reacts to Tyree Nichols by asking, do white people need to be beat up? And that's the piece that people are focusing on, and they're not focusing on the full context, which I think is important. So I want to play this.
In the hospital before he died from his injuries. The panelists expressed their outrage and would look to solutions for police reform in response. When it came time for Whoopi to offer her thoughts, she said,
when will the brutality finally lead to some police reform from the ground up? Clearly, it doesn't matter if it's a white policeman or a black policeman. It is a problem in the policing itself. Seems things don't seem to make sense to people unless it's somebody they can feel or they can recognize. Do we need to see white people also get beaten before anybody will do anything?
You're muted.
I'm sorry. That's the piece where they're missing the part where she said, it's almost like people have to see that reflection of their self in order for them to feel any type of urgency or pain or sympathy. And exactly. They're doing this on purpose, though, you guys. They're doing it on purpose, only showing that tail end part. And that's the piece that I think is important for people to have.
Yeah.
Kit. Hello.
Oh, hey. So, I think the problem is that it's being used against Black people whenever we express a need for equity and equality. And so this means to twist what Whoopi said is really kind of indicative of what has been going on as far as Black people is concerned. Even the law, like for instance, Ron DeSantis in my state has now disapproved the teaching of African American studies in colleges and universities in Florida, and also wanting to make CRT, critical race theory, illegal.
Mm-hmm.
When the funny part is, Black history is all up and through American history. It is interwoven and ingrained in American history. So to try to take out Black history, CRT, and African American studies means that you are literally cherry picking and whitewashing American history, pun intended, to the point where it's not even full American history anymore.
Well, the argument that he was trying to make is that he said we've increased Black history in the school system, but that they didn't want CRT. That's the defense that they're trying to make. But I think we all get what's really happening, like we all get what's really happening here. But I want to finish this piece.
I'm
Sure.
not suggesting that, so don't write us and tell me what a racist I am. I'm just asking, is that what people have to see in order to wake up and realize this affects us all?
Now,
Okay, what did she say? Don't write us, and don't write her or write The View and tell them how racist she is, because she knew what was coming, because that has already happened before.
Mm-hmm.
And people are still doing it anyway, JB.
But my problem is that why isn't The View backing her up if they knew exactly what she said? See, that's the problem. It's the fact that these corporations, by the way, ABC is owned by Disney, and they're going, oh, well, we need you to apologize because our audience is, they're mad. So what? They're wrong. If you say something bad about Nazis and a whole bunch of Nazis start writing you, and then they're up in arms, are you going to go ahead and go, well, the Nazis hate that you said something bad about them. I think you should apologize to Nazis. What? But the problem is that it's because of the profit motive. So Whoopi Goldberg has to come out and apologize. I'm sorry for saying something that was actually true and right for her to say. And that's the crazy part about it, is that now, and don't get me wrong, I disagree with Whoopi on a lot of things. I think she is, she has portrayed, as far as class-wise, the poor people, in my view, because she is more, in line with her upper class. And that's whatever, we can have that conversation. But we got to remember, Whoopi Goldberg is still a Black woman in America. And a dark-skinned Black woman at that. And an elderly dark-skinned woman. And she's seeing it through a different lens than even people in her class can see it. And the mere fact that The View is saying, we need you to apologize, that is also white supremacy on The View and ABC and Disney part. That's what I see.
They got to pay those advertisers, JB. They got to keep those advertisers, JB. See, again, it all goes back to the donors. Who are the advertisers for The View or for ABC? Right? Yeah. So that's what it all goes back to. Heartlands Media said she should not apologize.
Thank you.
And I do not like The View. I don't like The View.
Yeah, me neither.
But this is the thing. It's like, that's what they're thinking about. Like, well, our advertisers are going to have a problem with this. So you either need to do something about your statement or whatever. And I think, and you know what, the question that you asked where you said, why didn't the rest of the commentators for The View, why didn't they back Whoopi up? This has been a recurring issue with that show, where other hosts, other previous hosts have said complained about the same thing after they left the show, that they felt like there were certain times where they were not backed up or supported by the other commentators on that show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, look, Sunny Hostin, you're Black and Latina. You're an Afro-Latina, and you couldn't back Whoopi up? You're a former prosecutor who knows about the criminal justice system, and you couldn't back her up? Oh, Sonny, you really are a cop, aren't you?
Sonny trying to keep that check.
Yeah, you really are a cop. Yeah. You through and through, just like Kamala, a cop. Sitting here, not even backing Whoopi up, saying, no, Whoopi should not apologize for that. You could have been like, no, she shouldn't apologize. No, say it with your whole chest, sis, and I'll back you up. But no, she didn't. She didn't. And then the white people who are sitting around that table, who consider themselves allies, did not, and even though they knew what Whoopi was saying, did not back her up. Now I'm going to say this again. I disagree with Whoopi on a lot of things. But one thing that she knows is the Black experience. And she was speaking as a Black woman in this country and through the Black experience. And to call her racist, number one, is completely stupid because race is a colonial construct, number one. Number two, the fact that calling a Black woman racist is crazy because the thing is that racism is really about power, the power dynamics, and the structural issues involving race. And Black people really do not have power within these structures. And so therefore, to call a Black person racist just doesn't exist. You can call her prejudiced, you can call her, a bigot, but racist, no. And so, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to show you this because this is what this gentleman said in reference to all of this. He said, the next generation of Black excellence, and we can talk about that in a second, JB, this whole Black excellence thing, will be filled with Black conservatives who escape leftist lies about oppression and victim mentality. We can talk about that as well. You can't wear your crown with your head down. That's why many successful Black people listen to Candace Owens and not Whoopi. Candace Owens' audience is how many Black people listen to JB? How many Black people listen to Candace Owens? Even people I know that are Black and conservative or consider themselves to be conservative, even they don't rock with Candace. Even they can see through what Candace Owens is doing. So I think that's an exaggeration. And then two, this piece here where he says the next generation of Black excellence. Define what you mean by that, because we talked about this before. This phrase, Black excellence, that's a capitalist mindset.
Yes.
Capitalist mindset who escape leftist lies about oppression and victim mentality. That's not a left thing. Like the whole, they try to paint it that way when they mention oppression and stuff. The history books show you that, man. The data shows you that.
Xavier Durousseau, that's your name, Xavier Durousseau. Okay. Why are you whitewashing the oppression that Black people have dealt with in this country?
There you go.
Why are you trying to erase our history?
Kurt said slave owners feel hurt. Oh, Kurt. Oh, man.
Kurt went in at the top of the key, baby. Said the next generation of Black excellence. Number one, Black excellence is actually a capitalistic myth meant to appeal to Black capitalism in order to make Black people feel like that they have to be like the unfortunate, dare I say, the white owners of the system in order to succeed. They have to be basically like the land owners of, who built this country. Who stole this country. And so will be filled with Black conservatives who escape leftist lies, number one. It's not a lie, because if you actually look at what these country has went through and what they have done, it's actually the truth. The thing is that you're just propaganda. Well, I'm not going to say propaganda. That's no more. You're lied to and manipulated by this country about oppression and victim mentality. When people talk about victim mentality, people like that usually are game to blame the victim for the atrocities that are committed against them. So saying having a victim mentality, would you say to the 6 million Jewish people who suffer from the Holocaust and the fact that they talk about the Holocaust and they have a Holocaust museum, would you say that's victim mentality by having all that?
Oh, that's a good question.
So if you're going to talk about victim mentality, let's talk about the millions of Jewish people who also continuously talk about the Holocaust because they don't want it to happen again. Is that victim mentality to you? Because if that's not victim mentality, then guess what? Us Black people talking about the atrocities that were committed against us within this continent, within these two continents, actually, it's not a victim mentality. In fact, it's actually stating the facts. He says you can't wear your crown with your head down. The thing is we just want equality and equity. We don't want to be a crown over anybody. We don't want to be kings or queens over anybody. We do call each other kings and queens within our community because we have been called and been spoken down to for our entire existence. So therefore, in order to bring ourselves up, then we call each other king or queen, like go off king, go off queen, or just like when we used to call each other man back in the day, because the slave owners and the people in the Jim Crow era used to look at Black men and call us boy. So instead, we started saying, what's up, man? Because guess what? We realized we're not going to take that BS anymore and being infantilized. So that's why many successful Black people listen to Candace Owens. Actually, they don't listen to Candace Owens. In fact, many successful Black people, the Black people that you talk to, actually listen to a lot of white people. They don't listen to Candace Owens. And even if they do listen to Candace Owens, it's only because she's trying to appeal to people who want to keep the system in the way it is.
Well, the gentleman who made that statement, I have to show the Twitter profile, because I think it's important to understand where he comes from. So he is a part of PragerU. So there you go. He's a part of PragerU. So that explains why he would say that about Candace Owens. So there you
go. Lord. I'm not going to waste my breath anymore on that person. But anyway, that's the thing. And I think this speaks to a larger issue, Sabs. And the larger issue being, and I already have the banner for this because I want to make sure I get it right. What will it take? Because that was a good question that Whoopi Goldberg actually asked. I'm trying to make sure I pronounce things more correctly. But what will it take? Because here's the thing. And a lot of people have been bringing up the part where Jane Elliott spoke about, and by the way, a lot of people praise Jane Elliott for some of the work that she did, which I do think is good. But at the same time, Jane Elliott also skirts the reparations issue, which is something that's problematic to me. But that's a whole other story.
That's interesting.
Yeah, so she skirts the reparations talk. But anyways, but she did ask a good question. Would any white person living in this country voluntarily live the life of a Black person for the rest of their life?
I think you did a poll about that one time on Twitter, and most people said no.
Yeah, I did. And the problem is I think some of these people are outraged at the fact that, yeah, if we saw more white people being brutalized by the police, there probably would be more informed. They probably would. Here's the thing. And here's the funny part. Remember Ronald Reagan? Ronald Reagan was actually for gun reform. You want to know how? You know the history, Sabs.
That's right. He was all fine with Second Amendment until the Black Panthers showed up armed with guns. And it was Ronald Reagan was the one who pushed back against that.
Mm-hmm. And Ronald Reagan implemented gun reform.
Yep, that was in California.
So what would it take to get us gun reform? Black people. What would it take to get police reform? White people getting beaten in the streets and brutalized. That's what it would take. Will it happen? No. Do I want it to happen? No. Does Whoopi want it to happen? No. A lot of us don't want it to happen. The problem is that, unfortunately, some people do not empathize with the humanity of other people unless someone who looks like them, something negative happens to them. That's the problem. And so how many people who are conservative were like, we don't need universal healthcare, until they actually got screwed by the healthcare system?
I think for a lot of people, if they're not directly affected, they don't see the sense of urgency. And in several different issues, like not just about policing, but in a several, other issues, they don't see that sense of urgency.
Yeah. And I think that's the problem, Sabs, because the thing is that you have people saying, oh my God, that was such a racist take. And it's like, how was it racist when she asked a question that you should be able to answer? It's like, and then it goes, where's your outrage? If that's so outrageous, if it's not outrageous to you, then that means that you're not necessarily affected in your mind and your heart. And if you're constantly making excuses for the beating of Tyree Nichols, for the killing of George Floyd, for the murder of Sandra Bland, if you're constantly taking up for police in regards to Breonna Taylor, then maybe, just maybe, a Seth somebody, like a Karen may have to be brutalized in order for you guys to actually know what we're going through. And then it's like, okay, now you guys know.
Yeah. I mean, the lack of sympathy it's interesting, though. I have noticed this time around, and I believe this is because the narrative that was released first is that it was 5 Black police officers, right? Now we see differently now that there were also, it might have been 2 white police officers that were also involved. And one of the white police officers was the one who was tasing him, right? But see, his face for the most part had been kept out of mainstream media, and they just focused on those 5 Black cops. I have noticed some of the same people, especially some of the conservatives that usually will go along and side with the police. Now, all of a sudden, this time around, I've noticed some of those same people are defending the victim instead of the police. So I'm going to look and see, because I haven't seen it yet. I'm going to look and see what the perspective is now that it's been released that the white cop was the one who was tasing him. So there's a racial element to it too. Like it's a lot easier to look at those situations when the victim is of a different race than you, and the perpetrator is, of the same race than you. And it's different to look at it when you see this time it's a different situation where the victim is still an unarmed Black man, but the police, at least the ones that were televised, were all Black. So it's different when you see your own race doing it and then when you see another race doing it. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
There's more of a, I think there's more of a, some people feel there's more of a need to defend the action when it's one of your own.
Yeah. And it just goes to show that, actually, perfect thing I just found here. I'm going to share my screen really quick because a lot of people are not up to speed on what's going on with the Tyre Nichols case. Kasim Rashad has a lot of great takes, but Kasim Rashad has a tweet says, a white officer named Preston Hemphill also tased Tyre Nichols, remarking, one of the prongs from my taser hit the bastard. I hope they stomp his ass.
Yep.
He's only been suspended.
And that's only after it was released on social media where people were calling it out.
Mm-hmm. Not quite sure why the white cop isn't facing the same accountability as the 5 black cops. So this is him, Preston Hemphill, right? Let's continue. Says, why is Hemphill protected? A white Memphis cop involved in the fatal arrest of Tyre Nichols, who was caught saying he hoped the officers stumped his ass, was relieved of duty shortly after January 7th stop, but his name wasn't made public until Monday.
Mm-hmm. After the protests had already happened. And why is he not charged?
Why is he not charged? By the way, and this has also been shown in the video, is that the first person who tased Tyre Nichols was aiming for his crotch.
Mm-hmm.
And I played the video about the motive behind the officers stopping Tyre Nichols in the first place. Rome actually showed me. I don't know if you want me to show you, Sabby. I'm not sure if you actually seen it before.
The video?
Mm-hmm.
I saw the video. It was kind of dark.
Well, no, this is not the beating video, but this is actually somebody on TikTok actually talking about the motive behind stopping of Tyre Nichols.
Oh, yeah. Play that. Because I don't think everybody heard this part.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So I will play that really quick. And because this is also going to be it's kind of shocking, but it also needs to be talked about too. Because this actually talks about defunding the police. It strengthens our argument even more. All right. So some of you guys may have seen this on Tuesday when me and Rome were talking about this, but some of you may have not seen this, but this is going to be an interesting part as well. So let's go. He says, hey, good morning, which it sounds like me, but anyway, go ahead.
Morning, and what a difference a day makes. Just 24 hours ago, we were wondering if more than 5 officers were involved in the beating death of Tyre Nichols. And today we find out, it's 7. 7 officers were involved in the beating of Tyre Nichols, and all of them have been relieved of duty in some way, form, or fashion. According to a statement from the Memphis Police Department, on January 8th, just one day after Tyre Nichols died, 7 officers were relieved of duty. That means Chief Davis lied when she stood in front of the world and told us that 5 officers were involved in the beating death of Tyre Nichols, when she knew good and well 2 more officers were involved, but for some reason she decided to hide their identities. And like my mom always say, what's done in the dark always comes to the light. And we found out that Officer Preston Hemphill was the 6th officer who was involved in the beating death of Tyre Nichols. Now, Preston here was one of the first officers involved in the beating death of Tyre Nichols. Not only did he say, I hope they stomp him out, but he also tried to tase him on multiple occasions. He's seen him here attempting to fire his taser into the genitals of Tyre Nichols. That's one layer, that's a knee there, and that gun is pointed right at his nuts. Now, Hemphill and another officer's identity were kept secret while they were relieved of duty. But what does relieved of
duty mean? I just want to say really quick. Now do you guys see why he got up and ran away?
Mm-hmm.
because he was already on the ground and they were still tasing him. Do you see what was happening here?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I was trying to tell you it was skipping a little bit. I didn't know if you wanted to send me the link.
Oh, okay. I can send you the link too.
Okay.
Because I want to make sure everybody gets the full context of everything. Because if it skips, sometimes you're more focused on the skipping than the message.
Yeah.
There you go.
Oh, it says StreamYard. The TikTok link, the link to the video.
Oh. See? Sorry.
People are about to see double. They're about to see double Sabbies in here, like
that double vision.
The 80s songs. All right, let me try it on my end.
Yeah.
Here we go. Let me share.
So the play and pause is on the lower left-hand side. So it starts playing as soon as you open it. So just let you know.
Okay. JB's saying this to me because he knows I don't use TikTok much. I'll be like, what? Why? How? Okay.
Hey, good morning, and what a difference a day makes. Just 24 hours ago, we were wondering if more than 5 officers were involved in the beating death of Tyre Nichols. And today we find out, it's 7. 7 officers were involved in the beating of Tyre Nichols, and all of them have been relieved of duty in some way, shape, form, or fashion. According to a statement from the Memphis Police Department, on January 8th, just one day after Tyre Nichols died, 7 officers were relieved of duty. That means Chief Davis lied when she stood in front of the world and told us that 5 officers were involved in the beating death of Tyre Nichols, when she knew good and well 2 more officers were involved, but for some reason she decided to hide their identities. And like my mom always said, what's done in the dark always comes to the light. And we found out that Officer Preston Hemphill was the 6th officer who was involved in the beating death of Tyre Nichols. Now, Preston here was one of the first officers involved in the beating death of Tyre Nichols. Not only did he say, "I hope they stomp him out," but he also tried to tase him on multiple occasions. He's seen here attempting to fire his taser into the genitals of Tyre Nichols. That's one leg there, that's a knee there, and that gun is pointed right at his nuts. Now, Hemphill and another officer's identity were kept secret while they were relieved of duty. But what does relieved of duty even mean? Well, legally, it means someone who's awaiting disciplinary procedures, an employment condition during which a member is not required or permitted to perform assigned duties, but retains pay status. That means 2 officers got a paid vacation while 5 officers were fired, arrested, and placed in jail. Meanwhile, the Memphis Fire Department got rid of 2 EMTs and a lieutenant because they did not meet the expectations of the Memphis Fire Department because they failed to render aid in a proper manner. And 2 deputies from the Shelby County Sheriff's Office have been given paid vacations pending an investigation as to their role in the beating of Tyre Nelson. So that's 7 police officers, 3 members of the fire department, and 2 sheriff's deputies that are some way involved in the death of Tyre Nelson. That's 12 people. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Now get this. The police chief says she doesn't understand why Tyre was pulled over in the first place since he broke no traffic violations. But word on the street is Tyre was dating one of the officer's ex-girlfriends.
JB, in that case, if there wasn't a traffic violation and he was dating one of the officer's ex-girlfriends, could they argue that this could have been premeditated?
That's murder 1. That's murder 1. That's first-degree murder. It's premeditated murder. Yeah.
All right, let me finish.
Now, it's alleged that he didn't like the fact that Tyre was dating one of his exes. So he stalked the man, learned his schedule, and stopped him 1 block away from his mother's house, pulled him from his vehicle, beat him, and encouraged other officers to beat the man. That's why you could see him taking pictures of him at the end of the beating, because he was taking pictures and sending him to the ex, showing, "Look what I can do to your boyfriend," allegedly. True, that shows intent, premeditation, willful misconduct, and dereliction of duty. Hey, good morning, and what a difference.
Wow. We'll have to wait and see if that comes to light.
Yeah.
Because I don't have any proof about that now. But allegedly, that's what they're saying.
Yeah, allegedly. But the thing is that typically when the streets are talking, when the streets say something, the streets actually are true. When the streets talk. And this is why when he was running and he got to that, remember when you were showing and they showed the street view, it wasn't from the body cam, but it was the street view when he was getting beat up. That area that they were in it was close to his mom's house, so close that he could scream out his mom as he was beating up. And if you remember in the body cam footage, he was screaming mom because he was screaming for his mother because he was near his mother's house.
Okay, this all makes more sense now. This all makes more sense. Yeah, this is crazy. Listen, they hunt this man down. Because they still never answered, why was he pulled to begin with?
Yeah.
And why were they in plain clothes?
Yeah. And so this sounds more like a revenge plot. And the thing is that something tells me that they meant to just beat him up and put him in the hospital. They weren't meaning for him to die, but he died anyway. So it may not be murder 1, it could be murder 2, but even still, it was premeditated to, beat the guy within an inch of his life, and then he recovers and probably never, sees his ex-girlfriend again, but he ended up dying. And even then, there's this, feeling of, oh, well, I can, I'm untouchable because I'm a police officer, and homeboy forgot he was black.
Is this all this over a woman, JB?
Look, if that's actually the case, that's horrible.
Like they went after him. They sought out this guy. They just said there was no traffic violation.
There was none. There was no reason to stop him. In fact, he was actually going to watch the sunset like he always does. That's what he was going to do. That's the problem. There's a couple of super chats that I want to get to, if that's okay.
Yeah.
So thanks for the super sticker, Aberdeen71. Thank you so very much for that. Griff the Magician says, just like in A Time to Kill, imagine the victims are white. JB is right. Drugs was just a minority issue until opioids hit the burbs. Yep. And then Steve asks, is the ex-girlfriend thing for real? It's alleged because that's what the streets are saying. And especially if you're from the hood, if the streets are talking, that's typically what it is. But you have to have proof in order to say what the streets are saying. But word on the street is pretty much legit for the most part. So if word on the street tells you something, see, here's the thing, especially for a lot of us that live in the hood. Word on the street about what has actually happened is actually, you can take that to the bank more than you can take when a police officer makes a claim. That's how word on the street is.
Yeah, because we know most of the time the police department isn't telling the truth. A lot of the times they're not telling the truth. So,
yeah. So that's what happens. The problem is that the corporate media and local media, they don't pay attention to what the streets say because they don't want to listen to what the streets say. They go to the police and listen to what they say, which is a very deeply one-sided view.
Yep.
So, yeah.
And we'll never get to know Tyree's side of the story either because they killed him.
Yeah, definitely. We'll never get to know. And that's the sad part, man. And Tyree, from what I heard, he was just a good guy, man. And even if he was a bad person, he didn't deserve to die. You know what I'm
No.
saying?
Talk about excessive use of force. Like even the tasing, that's why I was like, why are they yelling at this guy to get on the ground and he's already on the ground?
Yeah. And they're like, give me your hands, and they're holding his hand.
Yeah, they were holding his hand, so they already had his hand. And the other thing too is like, did they really think that like the body camera wasn't going to be checked at all? That they weren't going to check the body? You see what I'm saying?
In the words of many Black women, child, please.
And they didn't get him medical help too. That was the other thing. They didn't call for medical help right after.
No, because they wanted him to suffer. That was torture. That was torture. That was exactly what it was. We literally watched torture.
It's terrible.
I have some comments on Rockfin to get to really quick.
Okay.
Thanks for the tip. Roger Meadows says 20 to 40 grams a day of fiber is needed. Love beef.
What?
I love Roger. Okay. They said they've been removing fiber from our diet, which ends up backing up in our system, causing all different types of cardio problems, colon, prostate cancers, and all different other types of problems. Sabby, I have a list of Black inventors you can start off with to fill the entire month to restart your Black History Month specials again. I DM'd you, Jerry Lawson.
Oh yeah, I did do that last year.
Mm-hmm.
I won't be able to do it tonight though. I got a packed show tonight. But I did do that last year. Thanks for the reminder, Roger.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to do the same on my channel. Eric Montague says, "Have you seen the movie You People?" No, I heard about it. I heard it wasn't that good though. I don't know. But I know it has Eddie Murphy and Neil Long. I know they're in it, but and oh yeah, Jonah Hill. He's also in it too. Drew Tex says sometimes it does suck being white, and that I don't exactly get to call out Xavier for being the house Negro that he is. Okay. that's a little out of pocket for somebody white to say, but okay. Roger Meadows says, Sab, Xavier isn't just from PragerU, but he is probably also from Africa, not part of the freedom community. Freedmen name our ancestors and descendants were written into the congressional record, which makes it our ethnic group, African nation Black. Only Blacks not enslaved outside Africa come here and do everything not to associate with us. Also, another reason Reagan was against guns was that he was shot.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. I did forget about that.
So as remember what we said, what does it take for people in order to understand it has to happen to them? Well, Reagan.
Yeah. Yeah. They have to be directly affected. Otherwise it's just, and it's not for everybody. Like some people are able to, look at someone else's plight and see where they're coming from. But for the most part, I have noticed like the sense of urgency just doesn't seem to be there for the people that are not directly affected. Yeah.
And there are some people that are able to get it without actually being directly affected, like you said. But that takes empathy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's something that we need more of. But yeah, there are some people who are, born in a more privileged position. Rashad the Great says Xavier is Haitian. Yeah, because that last name, yeah, that sounds like a Haitian last name. So yeah, but the whole thing about, it's like my question is like, what will it take? Is either one of two things is going to happen. Actually, no, one of three. The most likely option is going to happen, and they're just going to make another law, put Tyre Nichols' name on it, and it's going to give more money to the police, the same type of police that beat Tyre Nichols to death. The other option, which is the lower likely option, is that white people start seeing more of their own being beaten, And either they're outraged and then they want police reform, but they don't care about their own and nothing happens. Or we have a revolution, like Rome says, and then we get rid of the police and we rebuild public safety from the ground up, which is the one that I'm actually more for. Because the thing is that there's no reform. There's no reforming that system. And the system is either going to stay the way it is or we're going to rebuild it from the ground up. And it's going to be either one of the two.
Yeah, I mean, it just, I have to play. Can I play this really quick from about Cop City? I want to share this really quick because if you're calling for more police reform after this incident happened with Tyree, but you're approving of Cop City, it's just you can't have both. Like you can't. You can't. You can't. You just can't. And I want to share this clip here from Democracy Now! Because they've been covering this quite often. But I want to share this because it says Atlanta's Cop City moves ahead after police kill one protester and charge 19 with domestic terrorism. And I just want people to understand, what is happening here in Atlanta.
Now, democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman with Nermeen Sheikh as we turn to Atlanta, where Mayor Andre Dickens announced Tuesday the highly contested $90 million police training facility known as Cop City is moving forward despite growing opposition and the police killing of a forest defender. Weeks ago, law enforcement officers, including a SWAT team, were violently evicting protesters who'd occupied a wooded area outside the center when they shot and killed longtime activist Manuel Terán, who went by the name Tortuguita. Police claim officers were fired on, though activists there dispute the account. The activists have been camping out in Weelaunee Forest for months to prevent its destruction. This is Atlanta Mayor Andre Dickens speaking Tuesday.
So I just wanted to pause it there for just a second, JB, and I want to ask you this question. So that protester, and I know we've covered this before, like on RBN and everything, but I want to prove a point. That protester was an environmental activist. When is the last time you have known environmental activists to show up to protest with guns?
It's flammable if you even hear about them showing up with guns.
Right. Like that's not their thing. That's not their thing. No. But the police say they fired at the police first. I'm supposed to believe that climate activists, environmental activists showed up with a bunch of guns and fired at the police.
Oh Lord. See, now you got me wanting to show you this video. Actually, you know what? I'm going to have you play it because I don't want to have that thing starting buffering again. But I'm going to send you this link and you're going to be like, oh.
All right, let me finish. Let me share what the mayor said and then.
Okay.
Today, I am pleased to report that we have reached an agreement with DeKalb County to issue the construction permits and begin to move the project forward. My administration is aggressively committed to environmental protection. We have been uniquely focused on expanding our protected green spaces in the city. In my first year of office alone, the city of Atlanta and our partners acquired an additional 260 acres throughout the city to be used for parks and green space.
At the news conference, a reporter asked Police Chief Darren Charbaum if any protesters were still occupying the proposed Cop City site. This was his response.
Yeah, as of this time, everyone has availed themselves of our request to vacate the area.
Meanwhile, outside City Hall, protesters chanted Cop City will never be built. This is community organizer Micah Herskin.
You're muted.
They are moving forward with this project as if nothing happened, JB.
You know what's funny? They try to talk about, oh, well, we're just trying to make people safer while killing people. in order to build something. This is like Rogue One try to kill anybody who tried to prevent the Death Star from being built.
There you go. Star Wars, for you Star Wars peeps. We have to reference just in case. There you go.
Yeah. So, yeah. And you want to talk about corruption, Sabby? I sent the link. It's in the private chat.
I'm going to play it now.
Yeah.
JB is the TikTok guru. I am not. So I'll share and play it. Mm-hmm. I'm not the best at it. I've posted things on TikTok, but then I just run away from TikTok at the same time too. Here we go.
It's okay.
It's okay. A lot of people are making assumptions and they have no idea what they are talking about. All right. I am not a liberal and I am not a Democrat. I am actually a conservative Republican. Yeah. So you know what? If what I'm saying fits the liberal agenda, so be it. What I'm saying is true. It's not fake. I've experienced this. This is my experience as a police officer, okay? You can't tell me otherwise. And I'm not saying every single department is corrupt. I'm not saying every police officer is bad. What I'm saying is too many departments are corrupt and too many police officers are bad. I don't know the number and I don't care. But what I do know is it needs to change. I worked for 3 different agencies. I worked for 2 municipalities and 1 sheriff's office. And in each of the agency I worked in, there was corruption. First, I worked for the city of Columbia, okay, in South Carolina. Go ahead and look it up. 2012, 2013.
I'm sorry. I just had to pause there and say that's where I went to college.
Okay.
University of South Carolina. That's where the University of South Carolina is, you guys. So just FYI. So if he's about to say something about Columbia, I'll let you know whether or not, you know.
That's why I sent it to you.
Okay. And I left because of that. Because if the chief is corrupt doing those sort of things, well, guess what? I'm not going to stay there. There's over 300 officers in that department, right? Who knows who could be corrupt at that point? I mean, honestly. So I left because I didn't want to be a part of that. Then I went to a smaller town, all right, and did the small town PD. But even at that PD, there was police officers being investigated for crimes that they committed, right, while on duty, okay? I left there and I went to a sheriff's office. Well, guess what? The sheriff's office was the worst place I've ever been when we're talking about corruption, scandals, cover-ups, all that. And I left. I got forced out because guess what? When they don't like you, they'll do everything they can to get you to leave, okay? They can't fire you because you didn't do anything wrong. So what they're going to do is they're going to make your life hell, so they push you out the door. So I resigned, okay? I didn't get fired. I resigned every single time I left. Nobody force resigned me. And what force resigned means is you did something wrong. So instead of them firing you, they're going to make you resign. No, I resigned. It was me who resigned. I did it because I wanted to leave because of the corruption in the places where I worked, okay? So let me just say that and get that straight. And I was an officer in law enforcement for over 5 years, close to 6, okay? So I've done everything and dealt with everything that you could ever think of, all right? When it comes to murders, attempted murders, I've been in 3 car chases. I can't even count how many foot chases. So don't try to say, oh, I just left after field training. No, I was in it. I was in the DUI task force. I did all of it. So don't try to point me as a rookie who doesn't know what he's talking about. I've been there and I've done it. So swallow that. Let's clear up a few things, okay?
Put that in your pipe and smoke it.
He said, so swallow that. I was not expecting that, JB.
I know, right?
Oh, my God.
I deliver.
Look, he wanted to make it very clear that he was not fired. He let you know he resigned.
But this goes to the larger issue, though. When we were talking about corruption, they are inherently corrupt. It's not one bad apple. And I love when people go, oh, there was just a bad apple. And I'm like, Finish the phrase. Finish it. Oh, Lord, blazing Trey.
Put that in your coffee and drink it. But I think the point that he's trying to make here is that he worked at different police departments, different levels, whether it was the sheriff's office and the Columbia, police department. So he's letting people know, like, he tried three different, it sounds like three different options for that field. And there was no different. It just didn't matter. Like, nowhere he went, it was still corruption.
Yeah. And the crazy part is that that's coming from a former cop. So if that's coming from a former cop, then you can imagine. And a lot of this corruption goes all the way up to the chief.
Yep.
Either the chief or the sheriff. If it's going all the way up that high.
And the corruption, JB. The corruption, like, he's like, they were all corrupt. And let's all remember, what did he say? He's conservative.
Yep. The only difference is he's actually telling the truth.
Yep.
And so when people go, oh, well, we can't defund the police because what we're going to do, they don't do anything. So if we defund them, we're just releasing a bunch of money because they don't do anything. The hell? That's just trimming the fat. That's just getting rid of dead weight. Carlos Magus says, after the proletariat take over, what do you guys think we should do with Copland? Tear it down and rebuild homes?
Well, I don't think
sorry, go ahead.
I don't think anything was supposed to be built on that land because it's supposed to be protected land, from what I understand.
Yeah. So I was about to fix what I was going to say. Just tear it down and give it back to the people.
A $90 million facility, by the way. $90 million that they could have invested in communities in Atlanta.
Yeah.
They
and
never
the surrounding
put the money.
communities.
Yeah, like they don't put the money where it's supposed to go. It's like like I said about the statue here in Boston, the MLK statue, where most people don't even know what it's supposed to be, right? That was $10 million, you guys. And I said, why not put that $10 million into Roxbury? Why not put that $10 million into Mattapan, into low-income Black and brown neighborhoods in Boston instead? Why not put that $10 million back into the education system in Boston so that kids don't have to go to these charter schools or hope they get into the charter schools or hope that they get a part of the educational lottery to hop on a bus and go to the good schools in Newton? Like the way the money is spent in these cities is not spent in the right way. It's not invested back into the communities the way that it could and should be. They spend it on stupid things like $90 million. Do you know what they could have done with that money?
Yeah. I mean, Boston spent $10 million on a bronze schlong. Sucks. Golly. And then on top of that, they're spending $90 million on Cop City, or like, as I like to call, a pig pen.
Mm-hmm.
It's just stupid. And then people wonder, well, why are these people impoverished? Because you guys spending all the money on cops. God.
And for what? Because the last thing I saw more recently, police officers are leaving. Police officers are leaving.
Defunding.
Yeah,
they're defunding themselves.
Right. So to me, it's just, I feel like they're just getting prepared for the next big protest that could happen.
It's going to happen. It's going to happen. And this is basically just set up for war, for basically warfare, municipal warfare. Basically what it's going to be. That's what I see. And so it kind of goes with the line of, what will be asked, what will it take? It's going to take a lot, And the thing is that one of the things, I made a statement, and I talked about capitalism's fulfillment being slavery. But the thing people don't realize is when I talk about capitalism's fulfillment is slavery, I mean chattel slavery. And I'm not just talking about for Black people. Because once they reinstitute chattel slavery outside of the prison system, which they're actively doing right now, it's not just going to be Black people, it's going to be white people too. Because Black people are the canary in the coal mine. And once they try to get us back into chattel slavery, guess who they're coming after? That's not I see it.
I think we got a couple of stats. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Steve says, Sabby, my brother was a narcotics detective with LA Sheriff in the 80s. His unit ran into the CIA several times. They had to give coke back. He talked to his boss. He was a white as a ghost.
Wow.
Yeah, because they were the ones that were selling us the cocaine and the crack in our neighborhood in the 1970s and 80s in order to pay, for these coups and wars that they were conducting in other countries. Yep. So
it's terrible.
Yeah. So, at the end of the day, Whoopi asked the right question. But the problem is, some people just don't have listening comprehension. Wait, let me ask you this right before we're about to head out. But is it listening comprehension that they lack, or are they just being disingenuous?
I think some of those people are being disingenuous on purpose. They're just looking. Some people are just waiting for that next time they can go after Whoopi again. They're just waiting for her to slip up again so they can get rid of her. That's what I think.
That's probably what it is too. So yeah. What do you got going on this evening on your channel?
This evening, at 8:00 Eastern Standard Time, Garland Nixon's coming on.
Oh.
Yeah, and Garland Nixon was a former police officer, so that's one of the things I am going to ask him about his opinion about what happened with Tyree Nichols. But yeah, he's going to be on, and then I have 3 news stories, and then call in right after.
All right, nice. So I'm going to put in Sabby. So if you guys would like, Sabby's channel is also in the description, but I'm also putting a link to it in the chat so you guys can catch Sabby in 30 minutes. And then I am going to be having on Wyatt Reed next Tuesday. So that's going to be a very cool interview. I actually have 3 different shows I'm doing next week. And then after Wyatt Reed will be Jimmy Dore. And then after Jimmy, then I'm going to have Noah Krejcik from Midwestern Marks. So that's going to be pretty cool. Yeah, so that's going to be it's going to be a long week.
That's awesome. The other thing, I forgot to mention that too. John Stasevich will be coming back on tomorrow night. He's running as an independent for president for 2024. So just letting you guys know, he'll be back on. He came on, it was a couple months ago. So some people may not have seen him yet.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. Cool beans. And so, yeah. So thanks to everybody for tuning in. Thank you to everybody who's a patron on Patreon. And if you have not, make sure, well, I'm going to let you know now that they did sell out on Rome's documentary that's going to be premiering tomorrow at 9 p.m. Eastern on rightbrainstudios.tv. So they may be doing another one, but Rome's documentary Death to America premieres tomorrow night on February 3rd at 9 p.m. And to go see that, go to rightbrainstudios.tv to get tickets. Well, tickets are now sold out, but I think they might end up doing another screening as well. And then you guys can also get, Right Brain Studios, subscribe to them, and, have a streaming service that is actually about, that's actually on the left. So that'd be great. Steve Wilbrandt asked Garland Nixon about CIA drug trafficking. That's an interesting question.
I might. It depends. I already have a lot of questions.
Yeah.
Already a lot. If I remember.
Yeah. You don't want Sabby asking all them questions, making statements, assuming. Sorry. Sorry. I had to put it in there. It was right there. I just went, I think I missed a super sticker. Did I miss one? I want to make sure I get it in before we have to go, because it's like literally like less than 2 minutes left.
It's this one.
Oh, you found it?
Aberdeen.
Oh no, there was another one.
Oh, there was another one? Oh,
yeah, it was by number one fan.
Oh no.
But I'm trying to find it. Hang on. I'm trying to find it. So, because I don't want to miss it.
I know it was exploring them.
No.
There it is.
Oh, perfect. Thank you. Sabby's a real one. All right. Okay. Now, superstar. All right. Shaka Khan. Okay. Thank you so much for that. And let me check just in case to see if there's any more super chats, because any more tips on Rockman. No, good, because I don't want Roger Meadows to DM me, and then next thing you know, I end up feeling bad and want to cry. I cannot take the pressure. All right, everyone, take care. Mwah. Love you. Be sure to be with Sabby tonight, and then tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern as well. Sabby's going to be on, and then see me on the JB Show on Sundays at 1. Bye-bye.
Peace out.
A-Cab. Ha! That's right, baby. All right. Bring it on.
Ooh.